All right, welcome back, guys. Andrew Gerard here. This is a photo I took in my studio this week of a model, and I wanted to show you today how to get the effect on her legs here. Now, you might think that this is just maybe some kind of oil or lotion in the studio, but it's not. Here's the before, and then here is the after. A very small difference, but a really big different look. So this is what we're going to look at today. Let's get into it. First of all, I want to start off by saying you can, let me go up close here and try and give you a look at the skin so you can see that there is no texture gone in the skin on the legs. It really does look like it is reflective specular light, as you can see, and there's a reason. We're going to break this down. I'll show you exactly what I've got in this group, and then we're going to do the same effect on her arms here. But I wanted to talk for a moment. You can shoot with oil on a model in the studio to get this kind of specular highlight look. But you run a risk when you do that of getting all kinds of weird textures from the hard light that is really hard to get rid of. So what I do now is I do this in post more often than not, especially if it's for an ad or something, and I don't want to risk having these blown out highlights that I can't recover and end up doing a whole bunch of post work. Anyway, all right, so let me turn this group off, and we're just going to recreate it. You want to create a new layer above your image like this, and you want to select a brush and make sure it is on white down here, and you want to create the brush size about as big as I've got it here. You can see where the shadow from her leg is on this side. There's a shadow on this side. So where the natural light would occur, about here. Now, with a brush this size, at 100% opacity and just a little under the flow, I'm going to click once. I'm going to hold the shift key down and put my mouse at the bottom of the center and hold it. That's just going to draw a perfectly straight line there. And I'll show you why in a moment. We're going to do the same to the other side. Right there. Hold shift down and click at the bottom. You now have kind of a natural fall off, as you can see, from where the edge of that brush is to the center where it's very pure. So what we're going to do is change the blending mode from normal to soft light. Obviously, this is still too light, right? And we don't want to lower the opacity. What we want to do is to create a mask on here, and we're in our brush. Now we should be on black, right? And we want to create just a bit of a bigger brush. One that we can use that fall off to take away and carve where the light would naturally fall to her leg. So it would be a little thinner at the top. We don't want to lose this shadow on the side. I'm just going to paint it away there and something like that. I'm going to do the same on the other side, following the natural fall off and curvature of her leg. We're going to come around a little bit more in like that. A little bit more. Now I'm going to make the brush really small. I can do this with I'm on a 13-inch M1 Mac. I'm doing this with my bracket keys, but you probably have a pen tab, which is great. And I'm going to draw one down the center here, just to remove that. And now that's perfect. Right about there is good. Now you want to kind of curve these in at the bottom because the legs aren't perfectly straight. So you just kind of make sure you leave that roundness to follow the line of the body. Something like that. It's good there. And now we're going to have maybe down here at the bottom just a little bit more. Make sure we got that shadow. That's what's going to give us our 3D pop in a minute. Now this is still a little too much. It's okay. There's before and after, but it's here in the soft that we want to just back this off now a little bit. Now that we can, because it's hard to paint that out when you can't see it well. And as you back it off, you're going to get. You might want to do a couple of touches on the side. We're not trying to get the whole thing in one shot here. Just going to hit this on the top right there. So now I'll show you an option with the mask. We've kind of got this kind of shape going on where it's a little bit tapered at the top and maybe even at the bottom. Depends upon the position of how the legs are standing, but you get the idea. So now we've got kind of a lighter effect that you could do with dodge and burning, but you don't want to, and here's why. I'm going to create another layer on top. Now we're going to go up and make sure everything, flow and opacity, are at 100. We're going to take the same concept. We're going to make the brush just a little smaller, about maybe half the size as it was before, a third of the size of the leg. And again, we're going to create one click there, and not all to the bottom this time, but with the shift key held down, a straight line there, click there, and a straight line there. So if you think how this leg would be curved naturally, you can imagine that you want to have the peak of the muscle or the reflective light in the highest point of the muscle. And we're going to do that by carving this out again with a mask. And we're on B for brush. We are going to bracket key or get your pen tab a little bigger just so we can have the fall off. And we're just going to carve this in here and down towards the bottom here. And this is one of these things where you just want to take your time. You don't want it to fall off to nothing, but you just want to get it to the middle of there. And same middle of there. I'll make them really small, and I'm going to come to the center here. And by the way, you should make sure that your brush is down to 0 for hardness. That's really important. Sorry, I should have said that in the beginning. If you're following along, you've been having problems, that's probably why. And I'm going to taper this down here. We're going to taper this one out here even more. Here and here. Now, we're going to change this from normal down to screen. And we just want to start to nudge this off just a little bit. And now we can start, and remember that's still going over our soft light layer. Let me take away this layer underneath, our soft light layer, so you can see the difference. Right now it looks like 2 white streaks. That soft light layer helps kind of bridge that in. And there is one more trick to this. We're not done yet, so hang in there, guys. We're just going to keep carving this out. We just want that to be a specular highlight. Let's use that soft light layer. That looks pretty good there. Now, what you want to do is the magic touch here. We're going to take a look one more time. Let's turn off that top one. Turn off the bottom one. Remember where we started. Looks fairly flat. We've got our base, and we've got our top light. Now, what we can do is, because there's only so much we can do with feathering the brush, we're going to click on this soft light layer, and we can use our blur, because a blur does kind of expand and create that out. Remember, we're only at 65%, so I'm going to go, depending upon your camera and size of image, I'm going to go for about 6.8 pixels here. And because I held this back at 65%, because of that blur, I can even bring it up more now. And if I wanted to, I can go back in, if I need to expand this, and I can keep re-blurring that over and over like that. So let me do that. So that's now at 100%. Now, on top of this, that specular light, I can do the exact same thing, except this time, I don't want the specular light to blur sideways and just blend in with that. So I want to go into blur, and we want to go into motion blur. Motion blur, because she's standing upright, I'll have it at 90 degrees, and I can even do this and pull this up. You can see how long it is there. It's going to bikini line. I just want to show you that you should be able to do it right about 50 like that. And now, once again, we're at 88% here. We can bring this down even more. I might go in there now that we've even blurred that and even carve out that light a bit more on the side and even more on the inside here. Just on that top light. Yeah, we just want that screen one to pop just a little bit. And another option, depending upon the color, guys, you can use overlay for this. Let me scroll down to overlay just so you can see, which I believe I did on the other one. Yeah. Overlay is going to bring that little bit of color back in. I'll zoom in a little bit for you here so you can kind of see what we're doing. So you can see here, I'll turn it off and on. You can see how little it has to be. It really is a minimal thing. And then let me turn this soft light one off and on. And you want to keep your eye on the shadow on the outside of her leg to know if you've blurred it too far. So off, on, off, on. It looks pretty good to me. I think it could come down just a little bit like that. And then let's turn this top one back on. This is our overlay layer here, right? Off, on, and that's at 84%. We can try and push that up, guys. Let's see. We should start getting a little bit of a color pop somewhere around here. Maybe right about there. Let's look at it at full screen. Command 0 to go back to a full size. So that's before. Let me get a nice close up here so you can see. Right there. Before, after. Before, after. That's the technique, and I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next.